We have more for your ears only. I'm David Alpern.
I'm Eddie Robinson with this quote from the news. I forget to get my gas. What am I thinking? That was an unidentified man who returned to a gas station in Upper Marlboro, Maryland, after the joyous discovery there that he had a winning ticket in last week's historic $587 million Powerball jackpot, which he said he bought in Arizona. Now this.
I managed in just a few decades to marry the two most worthless men in the universe. Then proceeded to have 3 of the most ungrateful children ever conceived. The only reason people are nice to me is because I got more money than God.
Before that Lifetime TV remake of Robert Harling's much-honored play Steel Magnolias earlier this year with Alfre Woodard, Queen Latifah, and Felicia Rashad, before the beloved screen version with Shirley MacLaine, Sally Field, Olympia Dukakis, and Julia Roberts, before the Broadway production, there was a debut at the WPA Theater off-Broadway. That was 25 years ago. And this week we'll see a special silver anniversary celebrity staged reading of the piece to raise awareness and funds for the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation.
It's one performance only, starring Blythe Danner and Annie Potts, Monday, December 3rd, 7 p.m. at the Lucille Lortel Theater, 121 Christopher Street in Manhattan's Greenwich Village. There'll be music from Bonnie Raitt and Pat Boone, with additional support from Dukakis, Field, MacLaine, Roberts, Dolly Parton, and Daryl Hannah, among others. And to talk about the event, the play itself, and the connection to diabetes, for your ears only, we're pleased to have playwright Robert Harling on the line now. Welcome to our show.
Well, it's nice to be here.
First, the diabetes connection. That disease figures in the real events of your life that inspired the writing of Steel Magnolias. Remind us.
It's true. The character of Shelby, which was played by Julia Roberts in the movie, was based completely and totally on my sister Susan, who was a juvenile diabetic and unfortunately who died of complications of the disease. And so I've pretty much, dedicated my life to making awareness of it and to raise money for research to help fight it. It's a terrible, terrible disease.
How long after the real events was it that you began to transform them into a play, and how long did it take you to write?
Well, my sister passed away in 1985, and I started thinking about the play. Took a year or two to think about it, and when I sat down to write it, it actually came out in about 10 days because I'd really lived all the events and I knew who the characters were, and unfortunately I knew how it ended, and I wanted to celebrate these women. It came out quick.
What reaction to the piece was there from others among your family and friends? Any sense of privacy violated?
I was really worried about that, but an interesting thing happened that once the play came out and got some notoriety, all the women that I was really scared of their opinions came forth and said, and they were all fighting to be the person acknowledged that the character was based upon. So I think everyone in my immediate family looked at it as a celebration of my sister's life, and of course they were totally behind that.
And what message do you think the play brings to other people suffering from diabetes or caring about people who do, or dealing with other challenges, great and small?
I think it hopefully, although that message is very clear, over 25 years and the countless productions I've seen of it in many, many languages, I think the sense of a community coming together during times of crisis and working together and getting through it with wit and humor and warmth, applies to disasters. It applies to hurricanes. It applies to any trials that humans go through. That just shows us that we're in this together.
How did the idea of this 25th anniversary come about?
David Yaus, the producer of this particular event, had produced the 25th anniversary revival of The Normal Heart a couple of years ago, and he too has been touched in his family by diabetes tragedy. And when he realized it was the 25th anniversary, he said, "Let's do this, and let's do this again, and try to raise money for this cause." And so it was his idea, and he's just done it beautifully.
With all the stars who've appeared in it over the years, on stage and screen, how did you all choose who'd actually be in this staged reading?
Well, it's we're really I mean, we're just lucky. It's being directed by Judith Ivey, who's best known as one of our most accomplished actors of today, and she's also a wonderful director. And I had seen a production that she had done before, and she's just calling in a lot of her friends. She wanted it to be Southern. We're actually using the original cast member, Margot Martindale, who played Truvy, Emmy-winning Margot Martindale. Everybody adores her. Now she's playing the role of Weezer, which is another generation. That's kind of moving for me.
And the choice of theater was no accident?
No, no. That was thrilling to me to go back to where the original long run was.
What can you say about the special music for this one-night reading?
Judy. I have to thank Judy for that. She contacted friends of hers, and we had done another previous charity reading on the West Coast, as they did with Normal Heart on both coasts. And we used Pat Boone's music, and Pat Boone showed up to listen to his music. It was terrific. It was Judy's choice, and they're completely appropriate.
Talk about some of the other plays, films, TV series of which you've been most proud.
Well, let's see. Out of an inspiration of working with Sally, led me to write the film Soap Dish, which I'm now turning into a musical. Then I did First Wives Club, which I loved working with those women. Then recently I did a TV series that lasted just only a year, called GCB, which is based on the book Good Christian Bitches, and a lot of stuff like that.
You seem to have a facility and a fixation on writing strong woman characters.
Well, I grew up around strong women have been very, very good to me in my life, and I don't claim to have any understanding of women whatsoever. I just listen, and I'm fascinated, and I write it all down.
What projects will you be returning to after the 25th anniversary of Steel Magnolias?
I'm like I said, I'm working on the musical version of Soap Dish, and I've got a couple of little things I'm trying to put together in my head. I've got a play in mind, and I'm trying to convince some composers that it's a musical. So we'll keep the lid on that until I have a deal in place. But there's that. I'm fascinated by NASCAR. I think a TV series set in the world of NASCAR would be really, really interesting. A lot of stuff on the back burner.
Playwright Robert Harling, the special 25th anniversary celebrity stage reading of his play, Steel Magnolias, is presented at 7 p.m. Monday, December 3rd at the Lucille Lortel Theater at 121 Christopher Street in Manhattan's Greenwich Village.
Quote from the news, "What, no camels today?" That was New Yorker Brenda Clark on a midtown Manhattan street where earlier in the week she'd seen camels from a local Christmas nativity show taking their morning exercise.
Next, surviving holiday stress for your ears only.